Hi, I'm Phyllis King and welcome to Winning the Money Game. Glad you could make it here today. I have some wonderful content for you that, if followed, you can and will create great wealth in your life. I love this topic. For any of you who've listened to Making the Connection to Your Abundance, this takes it one step further to really getting in there and figuring out how to dissipate the blocks and the programming that are causing us the limited results in our life. I'm assuming you wouldn't be here today if there weren't some questions about why sometimes your wealth is this and other times it's that. How do we make it more and how do we make it consistent? I'll talk about all that stuff. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you, in part because some of the information I have received, even recently, really reiterates that the science backing up what many of us in metaphysics and in this industry have already known for years to be true, but the science is catching up to support it. And that makes it so exciting for the ego mind. It really quiets the chatter and allows us to give ourselves to the process more fully. Now, I would ask any of you watching today that if you've had other webinars, wealth building seminars, that type of thing, good for you. But for today, just move any of that other content out of the way, and so you can hear my presentation in its totality and in the rhythm and the method that I deliver. And then at the end you can mix and match however you see fit for your own life. My story is that I was raised in a family. We weren't by any means in poverty. We always had enough, but we certainly weren't wealthy. And I was never included in knowing what bills were or how things paid and money management, none of that. But I always had enough. The good part about that is that I developed an innate trust with something I didn't know about, that there was always enough. And consequently, I've really never been without in my life. I've come close down to the wire here and there, but never without, and never really overly concerned that I'd be able to take care of myself or have enough. And I think that really served me. And so what was given to us in childhood is important stuff. It's important to know what your belief systems were around money and your thoughts about were there enough. Because there are people, for instance, who grew up in poverty, always aware of their parents' situation, whether or not they could provide or not, or to what degree. And sometimes that survival has been the very thing that catapulted people into having great success and figuring out how it all works. Now for me, when I got into supporting myself, that's when I began to understand the concepts of money management, and if you have this much money, you can get this kind of house, or this kind of car, or these kind of clothes, or whatever it was you wanted to do. And then I became interested, now how does this work? How can I get more? Or how can I make it last? Whatever. So I've been interested for many, many, many years, but at the same time, I've been always interested in how we create our lives. How does this whole game work? Everything's energy. We're frequencies resonating to and away from things. So how does that whole game work? And I've figured it out over the years, I'm happy to say. And just in the last 2 years, I can tell you I've doubled my income. And I have opportunities from every which direction that one can imagine. And one could say, oh well, it's just because it's you, or there's something special that happened to you. Not really, because the principles and tools I'm going to talk to you about today, it doesn't matter really who you are or what your business is. It's following these principles and these tools that will cause you to have great wealth and abundance. So I'm very happy to share it with you today and glad you found your way here. And one of the first things I'm going to go to has to do with the gestation period. I talked about this a little in Making the Connection to Your Abundance, if you listened to that webinar. The gestation period is just like what we say. Well, if you have a baby, it's 9 months. Well, when you're trying to create the baby of your life, your work of in progress, whatever, there takes a period of time. So if you're going to embark on this program, tomorrow, and you say, I want $1 million a week from now, well, that might be a little too soon. I mean, unless you already have investments and deals in place that maybe it's time to blow the cap off it and start realizing it. Otherwise, you have to recognize where you are in the process. So you can sort of adequately guess, with help from higher consciousness, how long, if I do this program, do I think it would take me to get to here, here, and here? And important to know that information. And then you can guesstimate your gestation period. Well, my gestation period is coming to fruition. I put in the time, I put in the work, I do all the steps, and it started to really work for me in my life, and I can watch it, and I know it's not just for me. All right, so the gestation period. Well, and there's an intelligence that gave us life, right? Well, we have to have some connection with that intelligence. And we make that connection inside of our own hearts. What do I love? Where do I belong? What am I most passionate about? And when we go in that direction of what do I love, what fits for me, we get a lot more help from higher consciousness. Too often I find people in my office telling me all the reasons they can't have what it is they say they want. They are literally constructing a system to keep themselves out of what they want. Oh, well, I can't do that because I don't have enough money to do this, and if I do that, then this thing will happen, da-da-da-da-da. But eventually, I'll want to do this thing. That's a dead end. You can't play both sides against the middle is what I'm saying. You really have to give yourself to that which you love and feel passionate about it for a number of reasons. If you don't feel authentic and passionate about what you do, you're not going to resonate with authenticity to other people around you. You're not in that high vibration, authentic spirit that intelligence responds to. You can have certain levels of it if you follow the steps. You'll have certain various degrees of success. But ultimately, if you're not loving what you do, it's going to be pretty darn hard to stay committed and go through the steps you need to go through to create the wealth that you desire. So feeling passionate about what you want, being able to have the emotions, as emotions are a critical piece of creating your future. So, trusting your intelligence that gave you life, understanding there's a gestation period, understanding there's momentums and rhythms that you create for yourself, and that we need to have a consistency with what we're creating. For instance, often I see people who lack confidence. That's one of their biggest reasons they aren't wealthy. It's not because they're not capable of doing the right thing, but they don't have the confidence. I had a woman in my office 2-3 weeks ago. Brilliant healer type of person, a psychotherapist, probably 7,000 hours of counseling under her belt, master's degree, going after her doctorate, wanting to make a living in sort of the alternative healing arts, kind of get out of traditional talk therapy. And I'm like, well, why aren't you going out and talking to people? You have so much to offer. And then in this little tiny voice, well, she couldn't even come up with the language. It's almost like I don't even deserve to be out there saying. I'm thinking, how many doctorates do you need to get? I mean, how much longer are you going to spend your time in school? I love school, education is fantastic, but she's using the external to try and somehow feed her and make her feel strong. So, interesting that I see that pattern over and over with people who are amazingly gifted and talented, with the inability to have confidence and believe in themselves. And what is in that space that causes us that is what you need to get to. Now, science has proven 94 to 96% of what we do, how we behave, is unconscious. That's a lot. 94 to 96%, that's a lot. I mean, you've heard the old saying, we're creatures of habit, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, etc., etc. Well, there's a certain amount of truth to that. Because once the slate of your unconscious mind has been written on, it is very difficult to change the template. It is very difficult. And truly the only way to change it is to get in there at that subconscious level and change it. And I'm going to tell you how to do that in just a moment. But here is the model. This is the model for how to create money in your life. And I don't care what business you're in. I don't care who you are. You follow this model, you will create wealth in your life. Your beliefs. What are your beliefs? Do you believe you can create great wealth? And do you believe you can, really, do you believe you can do it? Not just can you do it with your life purpose or what the job you think you want to do. That's a separate discussion. Do you believe? Because if you don't believe you do, like a client who was in my office a few weeks ago telling me all the reasons he can't have what it is he says he wants, that's your belief system. You cannot create wealth if you don't believe you can do it. If your beliefs do not tell you you are able to do it. And I've known people who have been raised in poverty, but their parents were super loving and supportive and always let them know they could do whatever they wanted to do. And often those people became very, very wealthy. So it's getting to the beliefs. What are your beliefs? Not only about money, but about what you're able to do. Next, what are your habits? Do you have habits that reflect a wealthy person? I guarantee you every wealthy person you know or out there has a routine. They have a series of things they do to ensure their well-being, that they are expanding, and to make sure that they stay in a space to be able to continue to create wealth. So, say if you were going to lose weight, say you wanted to lose 15 or 20 pounds, what would you do? Your habit would be to monitor your portion size, make sure it's healthy, nourishing food, get some exercise, and you would make sure that was a habit for you ongoingly till you met the goal, right? Same thing with wealth. Whatever you're trying to do, your habits have to support. So, just like in the weight loss analogy, say you went 4 weeks, you're exercising, eating the right portions, the right kind of food, getting all in balance with yourself, and then all of a sudden you say, I can let it go for a few days, doesn't matter, I'm doing good now. Then all of a sudden 2 days leads to 4 days, leads to 7 days, and all of a sudden you either stopped losing weight or you're back at the same place you started. Your habits determine if you're going to become wealthy or not. What are your habits? And if you're going to get on a new plan for creating wealth, you have to modify your habits. Your thoughts, number 3. Our thoughts, if we've got chatter going, oh, I can't do that, or you're hearing somebody else's voice, oh, you can't do that, or oh, you're a piece of crap, or oh, I'm a piece of crap, you've got all that dialogue going. Those thoughts are frequencies, my friend. They're things. You're putting it into consciousness. And the more consistent you can be with having positive thoughts and impressions in your brain, the better off you're going to be creating wealth. It's an energy game, is what I'm trying to impress upon you. And the more consistent you can be with your energy, with your thoughts, with your habits, with your beliefs, you begin to create momentums that will pick up speed, that are answered by higher consciousness. Because higher consciousness always says yes. So if you're saying yes to yourself and you're saying, yes, I want more, and I'm creating in my energy that says I do want more, higher consciousness is going to say, yeah, here you go. Here's some more help for that. If you say I'm a piece of crap, I can never do anything for myself, higher consciousness will say, here's some more energy to make you feel like crap. The hamster wheel. What hamster wheel are you going to be on? Get yourself on the positive vibration frequency hamster wheel. That's the one you want. That goes hand in hand with your emotions. Emotions are one of the most powerful indicators of whether or not you're going to be wealthy or receive wealth. I have this thing in my learning center. Many of you may have seen it, 10 Minutes a Day to Change Your Life. I started it, I don't know, a year and a half ago. 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, 5 minutes at the end of the day, where you just close your eyes, empty your mind of whatever the chatter is, and pretend as if everything in your life is how you wish it would be, and you feel those feelings. Emotions plus intention create your manifestation. I have something I love to do, which is visualize myself at the bank. I like to see myself with a big fat check, $5 million to Phyllis King, walking up to the bank manager, making a deposit. Here you go. And I put myself in my shoes. What does that feel like when I put that check in the bank? What am I wearing? Well, obviously, if I'm at $5 million, my shoes are high quality. I've got, nice clothes on. I'm feeling confident. I feel, and the bank manager's happy because I'm putting in big money, not taking it out. I really allow myself to experience that. Or if it's a relationship, I allow myself to experience, what would that relationship feel like? Same idea. Put yourself in the emotions as if they were happening now, because consciousness does not acknowledge the difference between real or imagined. Okay? So your emotions, and having your emotions be on a consistent high vibration frequency, critically important. Now this does not mean that if someone calls you on the phone and says a loved one has just been killed in a car accident, you're not going to be feeling some pain and sadness. Okay, that's the human experience. I'm talking about your everyday life experience and how you're feeling about your circumstances, and that those have to be managed and that you can manage them. More about that as we go on. And finally, the last piece to the 5, you have to take action, what your actions are. I have a client who's a very talented musician and composer, creates incredible music, has done a lot of things for me, but he's at a place in his experience where he cannot take action to move his life forward. He was working for a big production company for a period of time, maybe 15 years or so, and the job went away. And then he's trying to get it going again, but he can't take any action to move his life forward. So he sits in his studio and creates great music, and no one ever hears it, and no income is coming in. So if you don't take some action toward your goal, you can't expect it to just fall in your lap. Here's another example of something that just happened to me maybe 2 weeks ago. I was taping a TV segment for a Sunday show in the San Francisco area, and they do 4 segments each week. And I was the 3rd segment, and after my segment was done, up comes the lead anchor from the network. Turns out she's going to be the host of this show coming up, and the existing host is going away. Well, she walked up to me and took her hand out, and hi, this is who I am, and good to meet you, and just really excited about me and thought I did a great segment and all that. I get home from the studio, the producer emails me and says, yes, so-and-so thought you were great. Whenever you're ready to come back on the air, just let me know. And typically you don't go on a show more than once a year unless there's something unique going on. Well, I was realizing, I'd like to get in a different time slot on a different day on this same network. So I went ahead and emailed this person and said, I wanted to talk to you, but I had to run out of the studio. Any chance you might know anybody at the station who could put me on in a different time slot? Sure enough, she emails me back, CCs someone from the evening magazine, and the evening magazine emails me within 2 minutes, I'd love to have you on the show and feature your book. See, it just took a little bit of action on behalf of myself, and someone responded to me just like that. So our actions, do our actions reflect what we want to create in our lives? If you're an athlete and you're trying to become the best on your team or get a spot on the team, I can guarantee you that athlete is working out, running the drills, doing all the stuff to get the body, humming and everything an athlete needs. They're not sitting around going, oh, well, maybe I'll work out today. or maybe I'll eat the right food today. They're eating the right food, they're taking the actions to make sure their goal is realized. So the beliefs, the habits, the thoughts, the emotion, and the actions together, that is the magic equation for creating wealth. Now, as I said earlier, why is it, if it's so simple, and I know every single one of you out there has heard it, and you understand what I've said, well, you're like, well, of course, Phyllis, it seems, you are the common sense psychic, that's common sense, so why don't we do it? Why is it we start out New Year's with a certain goal, regardless of what the goal is, 3-4 weeks into it, poof, the goal is gone. Why is that? Because of what I said earlier. The subconscious mind is what's driving our experience. What was written on our slate 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago is what's calling the shots in our lives right now. So what do you do about that? And so if you're trying to create your life from the conscious experience, ultimately the subconscious is what's going to kick in and take control of the situation. So what are you going to do about that? You have to get into the subconscious mind and reprogram from that level. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You think of it in terms of going in and taking out a program and putting something else in there. And most anyone who is successful will tell you that meditation is part of their regular experience. There has to be a time when you're taking out all the in the brain, and that's not enough. You got to take it out, empty it, get to square one, and then put in that fertile mind garden what you want in there. If you were creating a garden in your yard, you wouldn't go out there and put poison in it and say, grow plant, grow. No, you'd be feeding that thing, you'd be the right amount of sun, the right amount of water. You'd be making sure you were doing that with your plants, right? Same thing with your brain. So how do you get there? Well, at the very least, you have to get to the alpha state. We're in beta right now. Got to get down to the alpha state. All right? Do that through meditation, through hypnosis. There's great techniques through EMDR, EFT, a tapping system, NLP, and affirmations. And there's nothing more potent than creating some positive precision affirmations recorded in your own voice and listening back to those when you're in an alpha state. Do that with some visualization for 30 minutes or so every day. My friends, your life is going to change. Your life is going to change big time. Your emotions are going to stabilize. Your thoughts are going to become more consistent. You'll begin to take action that reflects what it is you want to accomplish. You will see the changes in your life, and you know what? They're changing from the inside out. I have this article I wrote a couple years ago called Master the Inside Game, Succeed in the Outside World. That is the game. Mastering in here. Now here's some other things you want to do in addition to the meditation and getting down to that alpha level to reprogram. Make some clear goals. Spontaneity is way overrated. We tend to think that, we see people on TV or in our neighborhood or in our family who seem to have it all going on, and somehow it's just supposed to happen, right? No, it's not a passive process. So start out making some goals for yourself. What am I going to accomplish the first 2 weeks of my new plan? What am I going to accomplish the first month, the first 3 months, the first 6 months? And do your goals match up? Is there an action plan involved? Say, let's just use weight loss because that's an easy one. Am I working out 5 days a week? Am I making sure I'm going to the store to buy the healthy foods? And then keep a journal about what you're doing. Keep engaged in your process. And the first few weeks are really the most difficult as you're trying to get in a rhythm. And it's usually somewhere between week 3 and week 4 where people start to falter. But if you have these systems in place, 2 or 3 systems, you have the meditation, you have the affirmations, you have the journal, you have the goals. You're sort of building yourself your own little support network. You're going to keep doing it while you're reprogramming your brain. And of course, science shows us that it takes 30 days, roughly, to create a new neural pathway, to change the thought pattern. So you really just physically have to get through that first 30 days, and then you've got a new autopilot, little baby sprout as it may be, but you have one in there. All right, so you write down your goals and write down all your beliefs and actions you need to take to get to the goal. Write down some habits that'll give you the highest activity or impact on your goals, and then develop positive precision affirmations. I have all the wealth and abundance I need right now. I'm easily attract money and income from sources known and unknown. I am a millionaire and I have a millionaire mindset right now. Things of this nature where you're in the positive, you're affirming to yourself your new reality. Put that into consciousness. Create those new neural pathways. Practice meditation, some form, in the alpha state every day. I can't say enough about that. Where you stop the chit-chat, the chatter, and all the thoughts and voices, and you program that mind with what you want it to be thinking, where you want it to be vibrating. Also, emotionalize your goals. Like I told you my story about the bank. Get all excited about walking in there with the check. Wherever you're going, get excited about it. You know, yeah, look at, and just Hollywood it up. This is who I am. I'm as if you're acting the part. What's going on around you? What are you wearing? How are the people responding to you? Really feel it as if it's happening right now. That is one of the single most important attractors you can possibly do in your life. It's great to keep some type of visual aids. A vision board are real popular. Doesn't have to be a board, but something where you actually have pictures or images that are showing you where you're headed, what it looks like, so you can experience it and smile and feel that, what it feels like to be in those clothes or that car or that house or, you know, by the sea, wherever it is you want, whatever it is you want to have happen in your life. And finally, as I said in the first one, keep a journal. You know, support yourself in watching your experience expand, because you're going to change a lot. If you follow that plan, you will change a lot. And you want to go back and be able to see that evolution and validate it. You know, too often we only have our eye on the $1 million goal, and we don't recognize those everyday little steps or what's getting us to that $1 million goal. So validate it, and the more you validate and the more you practice, the more consistent your frequencies will become, making you more attractive to high vibration frequencies. You can do this. I want to let you know you can follow these steps on your own. You can buy other people's programs. I have a 12-week guided course coming out in about 2 weeks if you're interested in that. So it has all the tools and things you will need. But this is the work that needs to happen. And I know you can do it. If you follow these steps, you can and will change your wealth. It's happened in my life, and I am not unique. Doesn't matter what your profession is, these are the steps that it takes to create great wealth in your life. All right, my friends, there is the content. My package is coming out in about 2 weeks. It's going to be right around $30, not going to break the bank. Anything that follows these steps will work for you, but my program again will be available, Winning the Money Game. I thank you for coming today. I'm just so glad you could make it and I could share this information with you. And I look forward to hearing your stories and your own evolution. I want to see you expand. I want to see you achieve these levels, and I'm your champion. Have a fantastic day. I'm Phyllis King, your common sense psychic, and this has been Winning the Money Game.